Welcome back to the FFL Yap Session podcast, where we talk about all things in our 12-person league for 10 people to talk about. But I'm back with Mio, as always. Say what's up, Mio.
What's going on, everyone? Glad to be here.
We are very excited to talk again about the rookie draft, and it's always exciting when we have new players in the league, new people to meme on, new players to make fun of and talk about and stuff. I already know a couple that are gonna have just a lot of memes. One being Jackson Dart is the obvious easy one because the Giants are just so freaking funny right now. But it's always fun to be, post rookies and getting, like, already seeing like the training camp videos and stuff of Genty and Travis Hunter and all the hype pieces about how they're going to be like the greatest players of all time. So, I love this time of year.
It's very exciting knowing that some of these guys what is it going to be like in 5 months? Some of these guys are going to be untouchable, and some of them are going to be. You're going to be desperately trying to trade them.
Yeah, it'll be like the next QJ and yeah.
But like, there's also going to be like the next lad, and like one of these guys in the second round.
Yeah, we'll have to pick our stud. Yeah, we'll have to pick our next lad from this group of second rounders. I think I have I have two guys that really stand out in my head, but we can talk about that later. But Mio, I want to get your thoughts first before I give mine on how the draft party went this year at Appalachian Brewing.
Well, I got there late, and so I wasn't really able to get the food or anything. Or like, I don't know, the vibe was off at that point. But it was fun. It was fun having everyone around a table and just having face-to-face trade negotiations with everyone. And then, of course, everyone making comments about roasting everyone who wasn't there, roasting people who are there. It was a good time.
I think there were some really just hilarious moments. Like Derek had a really funny one-liner about Darren. Like Darren said something about how, like, oh, I need receivers. Like, I still don't have or he said something about how he doesn't have receivers, and Derek and he had just drafted 3, and Derek's like, you still don't have receivers. And that was hilarious. There was a lot of times where Derek was like full-blown crashing out at Darren, and just that alone makes my life feel complete. Not that Darren deserves it. It's just funny to watch the, like, really? Very love and basketball style drama.
I don't know if I'd go that far, but
yeah. I mean,
he definitely deserves some of it.
Yeah, but I think the mandatory picks was pretty funny too.
It was.
They put in Quinn Ewers at one of them.
For years we had 30-second timers, and now as we expanded to 10 minutes, it's still not enough time for some people.
Dude, yeah, we had 2 of them like that. Yeah, I think both were Jason, though, if I remember correctly. I think both were Jason's fault.
I thought there was more than 2, but
yeah, I know. Actually, I think Derek had one too, maybe.
We had some because of Darren had auto draft on and just started like shooting through everyone.
Oh yeah, that whole thing was crazy because somehow Darren turned on the auto draft, but Darren had every single pick for like the whole 3rd round. So yeah, I think it gave away his whole queue too, but it didn't matter because there was no one else was picking, so it didn't matter. But it was pretty funny. We will have to remember that for next year. I thought it was a bug at first. I was like, I don't even know if we can finish this draft now, but no, it was a feature that apparently Darren just fat fingered the auto draft button or something. I'm trying to think of what else was really good. I feel like the war room itself, like the room we got, like. So when I booked the room, which first of all we ended up getting it for free for the people that weren't there, we ended up getting the room for free because it was a Sunday. Apparently they don't charge for the room on Sundays. But the war room we got, at first I was like, oh, I didn't expect to be in like this weird back closet area. I expected to have like a room pretty close to that huge open space with the bar and all that stuff. And then we get to the war room, and I'm like, you know what? This is kind of sick, actually. Like, we have our own like private space. It actually looked like almost like a war room that you'd see on like the draft, like on TV and all that stuff. So then I came around pretty quick on it. I was like, this is pretty sick, actually. So, yeah.
Man, now, I think it'd be funny if like we brought our own desks next time. Like...
We should. I was expecting people to start taking people out in the hallway to do deals and stuff, like to stay away from the table and get some like private space.
I should have thought of that.
Yeah, like meet me in the hallway, 5 minutes. Yeah, it's so funny. Dove like always complains too because he isn't at the party and he's like, guys, this draft timer's taking forever because he doesn't know that we're all like sitting there screaming at each other for each pick, trying to get deals done and stuff. But he's like, guys, this draft timer is forever, dude. Where's my 30-second timer at? But yeah,
I definitely prefer it like this.
Oh yeah, me too.
I can see why some people like want to have slow drafts. Like I'm in a slow draft right now. Probably gonna check to see if I'm on the clock. No, I'm not. But
yeah.
Definitely like getting everything done in one night is so fun.
It is, yeah. I think 10 minutes is perfect because there's a little bit of like panic that sets in when you're on the clock and everyone's trying to send you deals and you have 10 minutes to figure it out. But it's also like long enough to actually get there. Whereas if it was like a minute, like we had no trades for the first like 3 years, like during the draft. Then the first year we did it, we had like 1 million trades, and I was like, this is so much better. So, yeah, I love I love seeing the chaos and the panic on draft day.
Oh yeah, especially because when like you have like you're spending like 20 minutes watching a guy drop.
Mm-hmm.
You start thinking like, oh, who should I send? Who should I send? Like,
yeah. Oh yeah, it's pretty insane. I was trying so hard to get a couple of these guys in the top of the second, but I didn't get them. But we can talk about that later. But yeah, we're gonna go through the whole draft and give our takes and opinions on every pick here. And then we'll get into like our biggest reaches, our biggest fallers, and who we think had the overall like best draft from like an owner perspective. But let me pull up the draft. So here's the draft results. So starting off the 101, Mio, you had probably the easiest job of the evening.
I love how basically every pick here got traded.
Yeah, pretty much every single one. Yeah, even in the top 4, like that's pretty crazy that the top 4 all moved too. But so yeah, I mean, I need to hear your emotions.
I never got any offers I thought were close, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it's so hard. How do you value, like if you knew for a fact you were getting, Saquon Barkley's rookie season as a 21-year-old like today, you know what I mean? Like how can you even possibly begin to value what that could mean to like a dynasty roster for, years? I don't even know, like, because that's the tier that everyone talks about Gentian is like Saquon and goodness, like Barry Sanders,
Yeah. I mean, it's nice. The thing for me was that we can drag this into the next pick. I'm so high on Travis Hunter just as a concept. Just because if he obviously there's a good chance he gets hurt or he decides to stick to one side of the ball and he's great, but he's just whatever. But the possibility of consistently getting 20-point games from your D-back is so tantalizing to me.
Yeah. Yeah, I was wondering how you were going to feel about that.
I only in the last week decided to take Ginty. But I mean, I thought Ginty and Hunter were neck and neck for me.
Yeah.
Just because Ginty is great, but you can get a great running back, and Travis Hunter has the potential to be a one of a kind player that no one else in your league has. Like, whenever you get to the playoffs, everyone's going to have a great running back, except
Yeah.
for me. Last year.
Right. You had Tyron Tracy.
But
He's the GOAT.
yeah, that's true. Tyron Tracy. Like Travis Hunter, like no one else in your league could do what Travis Hunter can do if he hits, and so that was very tantalizing for me. But I ended up deciding that GT was just safer, or like was more likely to hit that top than Travis Hunter was. Like there's like a 10% chance, or like I don't know, that's a made up number, but like there is a chance that Travis Hunter is like a league breaking player.
Yeah, the
like,
hard part
it
is
so hard for me to like pass that up.
Yeah. No, I feel completely the same way. Like the way I like if I had that choice in my head, the way I was thinking about it was like, I think like there's probably in my head, barring injury, like 95% chance you have a elite running back for 5 to 7 years with Genty. Like, barring injury, which is a huge part of fantasy football, obviously, but barring injury. Like, I don't, like, in my head, there's, like, no way Genty is bad at football in the NFL. That's just in my head. Travis Hunter, I feel like there's probably a 85% chance that he hits in the NFL as a receiver, if given the amount of snaps. But, like, the ceiling case for Travis Hunter could be, like, Shohei Ohtani of football. Like, he could literally be, like, Jamar Chase at your DB spot in your in the league, which, like, if he hits on the super, super, super high end like that, like, I can't even fathom, like, how game-breaking that is. You know, it's kind of like when there's only one elite tight end in the league and you have that tight end, like, the game-breaking difference there. Like, to have a DB that's Jamar Chase would be, like, so ridiculous.
Yeah, I do wonder, like, because I thought for years in the late 2000s, late 2010s, that, like, Travis Kelce was always underdrafted in redraft. Because he would always go, like, late first, and I'm like, no, like, this guy should be going so high because of...
Yeah, there was years where he was in the second or third and all that stuff. Yeah.
But...
So, yeah, Jason is probably got to be like, thrilled to have Hunter.
Like, there are multiple great running backs, and there are multiple great wide receivers. There's not going to be multiple great defensive backs on that point-scoring level.
No.
So,
no. I mean, if he starts averaging, like 18, 20 points a game, it's going to be crazy, man. Because also think about the fact that he gets picks, too.
Jamar Chase last year averaged 20.
Yeah.
That's kind of insane. But if he had, like, high-end defensive backs in our league average Rashad Bateman points per game.
Right.
So if he's like a low-end wide receiver too, that's pretty good.
Yeah, I just don't. I feel like my biggest fear for him is just that Jacksonville is like a poverty franchise, and I'm a little scared that they just don't figure out how to utilize him. Also, Brian Thomas is there, which I know, like, having one great receiver doesn't mean that the other guy can't be great. But just the fact that, like, Hunter's not the obvious one is a little, like, meh. But, yeah.
I would say I'm worried about that. The thing that worries me is that I don't know, that's a lot of snaps. Like,
yeah.
Like, I can see a scenario where he's everything we hope for 10 weeks. And then he, like, twists his ankle.
Yeah.
And they shut him down. And
that would suck.
The entire rest of his career, the entire rest of his career is just injury prone. Yeah. So that's unfortunate.
I hope not. But I hope that doesn't happen.
I think, like, there's a part of me that thinks that Tennessee should have taken him at 1 over Cam Ward.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I don't fault anyone for thinking that, because I also don't feel like Cam Ward was that game-breaking of a QB when you looked at him to, like, if you're taking the best player in the draft, it's probably not Cam Ward. It's probably Hunter or Abdul Carter, you know?
Yeah. And, like, I get why Tennessee took Cam Ward, but, oh, man.
Yeah, I mean, like, It said no one would have showed up to the games next year if they still had Will Levis out there. Man, Will Levis is one of the funniest, like, memeable QBs of all time, man. He had so many funny memes last year. But yeah, okay. So I think both of those picks, like, were the pretty obvious ones. I think 103 was pretty obvious too. I think, like, I knew Derek loved Hampton. I loved Hampton too. I felt like 103 was like
I don't know if I loved Hampton, but he has the sort of things that get you fantasy points, which is that coaches are going to trust him with a huge workload. He plays on all 3 downs.
Yep. He plays for Jim Harbaugh, which that's always going to help you. The hard dog.
Greg Roman offense.
Yeah.
A quarterback that teams are going to be scared enough of that they're not going to put 9 guys in the box every down.
Yeah.
So he's going to score a lot of points. I don't know if he's like, I don't know how efficient he'll be, but he's going to score points. So
yeah, I feel like if Genty wasn't in this draft class, we'd probably talk more highly of Hampton. Like, people would have looked at him more closely, but because he's like the obvious second guy to Genty, I feel like he was still a first round running back. Like, there's drafts we have where we never even get a first round running back. So the fact that the Chargers invested that much in him, like, he's at least going to get the work, like you said. Like, I do think the downside for him is like a Leonard Fournette or like Joe Mixon, where he just gets a bunch of work, and like that's the reason why you want him, but it's not necessarily because he's like awesome. I don't feel like that's going to happen. I just feel like that's like the low end comp.
Yeah, I was thinking Najee.
Or even Najee, yeah.
That sort of result, but like, I am pretty optimistic about the Chargers offense generally, so I think he's going to hit.
Yeah, I do too.
But I don't know how much of that is going to be he makes them hit. How much of that is going to be the environment is just really good.
Right. So 104, Ted McMillan. I feel like for me, this is where the draft actually started in my head. I felt like I was like gun to my head, I would have bet my whole bank account on the first 3 picks, like in some order between Genty and Hunter, just because of the weirdness with Hunter. But then Hampton was going to be 3. And then I wasn't sure if Anderson, because Anderson took QBs, was it last year or the year before, when I didn't expect him to. And I know that he knows that QBs are very valuable, and I wasn't sure if he would just take Cam Ward because of that, and then figure it out later, or I wasn't sure.
I was expecting him to take Ward, and so this was sort of unexpected to me.
Yeah, although it like, from a team makeup standpoint, like, first of all, he doesn't really need much. Like, his team's really good. But getting Ted McMillan on top of what he had, like, that's a huge W. The only thing that scares me about Ted McMillan is the Panthers are, again, a like ridiculous poverty franchise, and you have Bryce Young. But McMillan, I feel like as a talent, is really, really good, and he's going to get 1 million targets. So
yeah, my understanding with Ted is that his production was a lot more out of the flanker than out of the X.
Yeah.
And so they might force him to play the X, and he might have some growing pains there. So I don't know how much he's going to contribute year 1, but I am pretty optimistic that, a lot like Marvin Harrison Jr., where everyone's like, oh my God, he's a bust. And you look at the stats, they're like, oh, that's awesome.
Right, exactly, yeah. Like, so he might have a...
I think it'll take a year or 2 for him, but he will. I think he'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Assuming that the Panthers aren't a tire fire, which we're not going to rule out.
Yeah, yeah. The Panthers can panther at any moment, and that's scary when you have one of those guys. Like, I feel bad for him because he's walking into a situation where he might already be the best player on that whole offense, and that's kind of rough.
Chuba Hubbard disrespect.
I do love Chuba. Chuba's a good player.
Adam Thielen disrespect.
The old geezer, man. He's great. He's awesome. All right. So then we had Kansas took Cam Ward, which I got to look because I don't remember. But did Kansas...
He didn't have a third quarterback, really.
Yeah. So who are his QBs? He has Stroud
and Love.
and
I think
now he has
so that was like Deshaun Watson. Like,
so that's so interesting too, because in my head, like all three of those guys are like the same person. Like I feel like Stroud, like stats wise, I could see all three of them having like the same stat line next year, like 4,000 yards, like 28 touchdowns and 12 picks, like, and not a bunch of running stats, and any given year,
That's the thing with all these. What's the term? The non-running QBs.
Right.
Is that they're probably gonna still have a job in 7 years, which is really nice.
Mm-hmm.
But their points per game is not going to be all that different from each other.
Yeah.
Unless they're like Joe Burrow, like elite.
Yeah, you pretty much have Burrow and Mahomes.
They're
and that's
interchangeable.
Kind of
Not even Mahomes in recent years. But
that's true. Yeah, you have Bo Nix.
That's a different conversation. That's a different conversation, which is very interesting, but it's still a different conversation.
Yeah. No, you're totally right. So
and Cam Ward, I think Cam Ward's probably headed towards there. But like knowing that, okay, even if he's your QB2, knowing that you don't have to think about your QB2 for 10 years, and you can just put all your resources and focus into making the rest of your roster better, like that's worth it to me.
Yeah, and if you had to pick someone, see QBs are tough because if they hit, like he's gonna have like really good value in our league for a long time. Because like Cam Ward, like when you get a QB that hits like for real, that's like a 12, 15 years where you have value out of somebody. Even like Jordan Love or CJ Stroud are going to have value for 10, 12, 15 years. So if you hit on the QB, then yeah, I mean you have a valuable asset, and there's just not as many QBs that go around as there are receivers and running backs, and I mean I guess tight ends. There's plenty of tight ends, but almost none do anything. But you know what I mean?
We're gonna have that tight end conversation later.
Yes, yeah, we will. So let me move on to LaMarvelous took Judkins 106. I wasn't surprised. I feel like to me the tier 1 guys all went like in the top 5. You have Genty, Hunter, Hampton, McMillan, Cam Ward. Those are like your super Coca-Cola name brand guys. And then I feel like there's a tier break right here where you kind of get into the second echelon of running backs, receivers, and then you get into the tight ends and all that. So I feel like LaMarvelous took one of the best guys there.
Yeah, I have the 2 Ohio State guys together basically as their own tier.
Yeah.
So we should probably talk about them together. I was higher on Henderson than on Judkins personally. Just because I'm more optimistic. Well, for 2 reasons. Well, for a lot of reasons.
Well, for 3 reasons. Well, for 4 reasons. Well,
I'm more optimistic about New England getting its act together with the quarterback than I am about Cleveland. And Henderson's more of a pass catcher.
Yeah.
And just for those 2 reasons, I was optimistic about both of them. I do like Judkins.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't. Like, I feel like his touches are just going to be generally less valuable than Henderson's.
Yeah. I went back and forth on him all offseason because I was very Henderson over Judkins for a while. Like, I was even getting to the point where I was maybe Henderson equals Hampton. Like, I was getting there in my head. And then, because I like the receiving, and I like that Henderson was an Ohio Stater and not necessarily a North Carolina guy. I just have it. I always will have a bad taste in my mouth from North Carolina guys, just because it just seems like there's so many busts out of North Carolina. You had like Javonte, you had Trubisky, you had like so many guys that I'm just kind of like ew about North Carolina, and that's just stuck in my head forever for some reason. But
Drake May hater.
Yeah, no, I actually think Drake May will probably be fine. But I don't like that as a Dolphins fan. But yeah, he'll probably be fine. But then I saw the combine and stuff, and Judkins was like a absolute mammoth at the combine.
Yeah.
Like he's a freak, dude. Like athletically speaking, He's gigantic. He's fast. And then I started watching tape, and you know how sometimes you get really excited by like the electric guys. You have like like the smash and dash, and you want to watch the dash guy, but actually like the David Montgomery of the offense can sometimes put up like a lot more points. You know what I mean? So sometimes I get worried where I'm like, am I just falling for like the classic? You either get 10 yards or 0 yards from Henderson, but maybe Judkins gets you 4 to 6 every single carry. So I don't know. I went back in my head.
I did hear that
a lot. You know what I mean? So yeah,
yeah,
that was a tough one. But I feel like they like you said, like take your shot, and I feel like probably both of them will be really relevant this year.
Yeah, I mean, it is sort of a personal choice, like level between them. But you know, I do think that like the top 7 were my top 7.
Yeah,
and then
same.
This next pick was when we started to get a little freaky.
Freaky deaky, yeah. So yeah, I agree. I feel like the top 7 was pretty much always going to be these 7 guys, like in some order.
It should have. It wasn't always going to be, but it should have been.
Right.
Should have.
Yeah, that's true. It depends who has the pick, I guess. But, and then so 108, we got Matthew Golden. Now this was, I would say, surprising that Matthew Golden was the 3rd receiver off the board in our draft. Not like. So I gotta say this up front too. We'll talk more about like reaches, fallers, all that kind of stuff. But I personally was very surprised that I think this was the first year where I looked back on the draft and there was nothing that was like super obvious to me of like that's a crazy reach or that's a crazy fall. I feel like every year we've had at least one of those where I'm like, I can't believe someone took X person here. That's insane. I didn't walk away from this draft feeling like that at all. I feel like everyone took pretty, I don't know, like guys that made a lot of sense for where they took them. So I don't know. But yeah, Golden was definitely probably like the first one where I was like, that was higher than I expected. And yeah, I mean, Green Bay is a absolute mess, dude. Like Green Bay receivers are going to be. It's so.
They're a mess for fantasy.
That's what I mean for fantasy.
The feeling that the team themselves seem like they're just perfectly fine running like this.
Oh yeah, no, you're right. Like the Packers don't care, but for fantasy owners, like trying to predict who's going to get the most targets out of that receiver room, like good luck, dude. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a classic. The main guy you want in this passing game is Jordan Love.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Then everyone else is just well.
Yeah, I mean, how did you feel about Golden here?
I'm not super high on Golden generally, just because he sort of always got, what's the term? Out. I understand, if I remember correctly, I don't have the stats in front of me, but I think he basically almost always got outproduced by Isaiah Bond in the same offense.
Dude, Isaiah Bond is such a funny meme too.
So I'm not super high, and I don't think the specific position that sort of... There's only certain guys who run that sort of intermediate, deep, constantly route that are worth it in fantasy. So like Jamar Chase is worth it because Jamar Chase, but like a lot of times these guys, NFL teams, they want these fast guys to pin the safety back so that Josh Jacobs can get an extra 2 yards on his rush.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Or great for the Packers.
Yeah.
And it's great for Almeida now because he has Josh Jacobs. But
that's true.
For Matthew Golden, it's so I'm pretty skeptical about his fantasy production.
Yeah.
Long term.
I'd be surprised. Like he feels to me like just gut check like someone that'll be better in real life than he is in fantasy probably for a long time. Like he doesn't seem like he's going to be a target hog. I'd be surprised, but also he's a first round pick, and so you gotta coming out of the draft you can feel like that, and then coming into the season, you're like, oh, of course he was a Green Bay Packers receiver, first round pick. Of course he was going to get 1 million targets. And I don't know. I could go either way with it, but I feel like the Packers are one of those franchises that figure it out. So
that's true. That's true.
And then we got Kansas here.
I love this next player.
Yeah, me too.
You have no idea how much I love this next player.
Well, you can start then. Kansas 109 took Emeka Egbuka from the Ohio State University. Go ahead, talk about Egbuka.
I don't know. I don't know. If you listen to like regular NFL analysis, one of the things they always said about Egbuka was that he was like a high floor, low ceiling player. And like I don't like in my brain, the things that give you a high floor are the same things that give you a high ceiling. Like, okay, like we know coaches are gonna like him. We know he's gonna be on the field a lot. We know that coaches are gonna trust him and he's not gonna mess up. And it just seems like all we need at that point is like the coach to decide, hey, let's throw him the ball a lot because we trust him, and he's gonna have like 14 targets a game.
Yeah, right.
And just murder it in any sort of PPR, like even like half PPR. I don't know. And like Tampa Bay throws the ball around so much. Like, yeah, like Godwin's gonna be there, and Mike Evans is gonna be there, but they're not gonna be there forever.
Sidebar on Mike Evans. Darren in our other league traded Mike Evans for 2 third-round picks on draft day, and then fell asleep during the draft, and then got auto-drafted Quinn Ewers and Ollie Gordon in our other league. So it's basically straight up traded Mike Evans for Quinn Ewers and Ollie Gordon, which was very funny. And then he was mad at me because he's like, how did you not wake me up on draft day? And I was like, brother, why are you sleeping at 7:30? So anyway, it was a whole mess. But
man.
Yeah, that was a funny one.
Oh man.
But yeah, thoughts on Egbuka from me. I super loved everything I saw from Egbuka. I probably would have had him as my 108, or I mean, depending on how receiver needy I am, you could have talked me into potentially going, like if I had a team that was loaded at running back or something, could have talked me into being up there with the Ohio State running backs. I don't know
if I'd go that high, but
yeah, I mean, depending on
I definitely had him over Golden. Him over Golden
for sure. So like as a sophomore at Ohio State, that's always loaded at receiver. He had 1,010 and 74 catches, and then people backed off of him because of the junior year. But I mean, Ohio State has had so many guys that he's been playing with that are like top receivers in the NFL now. And then he had Jeremiah Smith, who was just going bananas as a freshman. I think there's like, okay, the cons with Egbuka though. One, like you said, the Bucks have receivers. Like they have guys who are actually good. They have Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. Godwin was going insane until he got hurt last year. So it might be a JSN situation with Egbuka for a year where you're kind of like, why is he not getting the ball? Because the other guys are there, and then they're going to expire and move on, and Egbuka's going to be the guy in like year 2 or something. I could see that being a path for him. I do think Tampa Bay is actually a good organization now, and Baker is really good. So I think the only thing that I think could go wrong for him is just that it might not be this year. It might be next year. But no, I think he's awesome. I think he's gonna be great. So that's my Egbuka take. But yeah, for some reason everyone's like, oh, he's Jacoby Myers. He's not sexy, and I just don't get it. I don't get why he can't be sexy, but he's sexy in my heart. Okay. But
so true.
And I don't know how needy Kansas is at receiver. Let me see. I'm gonna take a look quick. Brian Thomas, Olave. He has Godwin actually.
I mean, Egbuka's a guy that I'm just confident in him.
Yeah,
he's gonna like be useful.
Yeah, I'd be surprised if he wasn't anything in the NFL. I'd be really surprised.
Yeah.
So let's talk about Perv for a second, which I love that Derek calls him Perv all the time. So we got Tyler Warren at 110, it's the first tight end to go, and then we got Jackson Dart at 111. At first, I'll be honest, at first I was like, this is kind of gross. Just my gut during the draft. Because you got a tight end who tight ends sometimes take, not in the last couple of years, but tight ends normally take a few years to do anything. Tyler Warren's a beast and had like 100 catches last year, but you never know. It could be year 2, year 3 until Tyler Warren even like really does anything. And then Jackson Dart, which like who knows? Like the range of outcomes there are insane. I know he was like a draft day meme that they took him over Shador, and then Shador falls the 5th round and that whole thing. But then when I thought about it more, I was like, you know what? Tyler Warren was drafted really freaking high. He's going to be a big deal to the Colts. And he also, like, if he does hit, you have a stud tight end, which is very hard to find. And then Jackson Dart, if he's any good, you have a QB for years and years like we were talking about with Cam Ward. And Perv did this before with Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert fell to the super late first round. And then no one really wanted him. Perv took him, and now he's had Justin Herbert for years and years and years. So
I don't know about that.
I'm just saying. I
would be very. Oh man, what should I should make a bet to be. If Jackson Dart has anything like Justin Herbert's rookie season, I will do something.
You have to buy me.
Be determined.
You have to buy me 50 McNuggets from McDonald's. Okay, that's what I want.
Yeah. Okay. If Jackson Dart
puts up anywhere close to that amount of points,
we will have a neutral arbitrator decide if Jackson Dart
has succeeded in his rookie year. Sure. Yeah. I don't think it'll happen, but it could. You never know. You never know. The fact that Jameis is there too and Russell Wilson, it's so funny. Like it feels like if you were playing Madden and you were trying to put together like a clown car of the funniest QBs, you put Tommy DeVito, you put Russell Wilson, you put Jameis Winston, and then Jackson Dart is pretty funny too, just because of the whole Shador drama. So, like it's absolutely hilarious. I love it. It's so funny.
About Tyler Warren, my understanding is that you sort of have to. He doesn't. I don't want to say he doesn't play tight end normally, but he's much more of a, especially at Penn State, he was much more of a, we're going to scheme this guy targets sort of a guy.
Yeah, sure.
He didn't necessarily play the position in a traditional inline tight end way.
Right.
Although basically everyone you run into says like he definitely has the. Like, he's probably going to do it eventually.
Yeah.
So, for me, it's sort of, number one, is Shane Steichen going to tailor the offense to do a bunch of Tyler Warren targets? Which, who knows? Right. And number two, I don't have any confidence in this Indianapolis passing game. Do you?
No, that's the thing is, like, I do worry. Now, okay. There's two sides of this coin. One, their passing volume will probably be like bottom 5 in the whole league, probably. But the other side of it is when you have these like heavy set run centric teams that can't throw the ball to anybody. A lot of the time, it's dump offs to the tight end or to the running back. So maybe we get lucky with Warren getting like 50 catches at the line of scrimmage or something. I don't know.
I don't know.
But yeah,
we'll talk about him later. But let's just say that I would have taken the other tight end.
The other guy. Sure, yeah. So okay, so let's move on to Darren. Now Darren had a first round pick, which I can't remember if I'm right about this or not, but I think Darren was saying this is his first round pick ever. And me and I were talking, and I'm pretty positive we're going into year 7 in this league, which. First of all, congratulations to us for making like a fun league that lasted this long already. I mean, that's actually so sick. True. I mean, like, it's not like I know it's a toot our own horn, right? But like, it's not easy to have a league that's actually fun for this many years. and that continues to get like more fun as we go. So I'm just proud of all of us for like making it actually like worthwhile dynasty league, because that's not easy to do. But anyway, so Darren 112 goes RJ Harvey. Give your thoughts first on this one, because I have some strong thoughts on this one.
Well, I think it's really funny that he's 25, like going to be 25 during the season. He's like 24 or 25 already.
He's the same age as Kyle Pitts. That crowd's hilarious.
I think that's great. I would have considered him at 108 on the right team. Just because Denver, that running back spot is gonna smash.
Yeah.
And so I'm really high on Harvey, at least for the next couple seasons. I don't think he'll ever. I don't know. Yeah. I think he's going to produce. It wouldn't surprise me if he has the best rookie season of any of these running backs, including Ginty and Hampton.
That'd be crazy. That would be nuts.
Just because the Denver offensive line is so, like, the run blocking success rate was like second highest in the league last year or something crazy like that. And we know Sean Payton, like, finds a way to get his guys the ball.
Mm-hmm.
There was some stat, like, the only other people he took in the second round were Kamara and Mark Ingram, and both of whom were just smashes in fantasy. So I really like the pick. Also, he's like 25.
Yeah. So for me, there's like there's two wolves inside of me, okay, and I can't control either of them, okay. So here's my problem, okay. So think about it from if I'm Darren, okay, I probably can't afford to be taking 25-year-old players as if I'm going to compete like this year or next year.
I thought he was BPA for the
yeah, right. And so this is where the two wolves come in, okay? So on one hand, I'm like, that Darren needs. Funny enough, like RJ Harvey, even in the rookie draft, feels like a win now piece. It's so weird, but like, it's what it feels like. It feels like you're not building for the future. You're building for today when you take Harvey. That being said,
you want a running back who isn't going to have arthritis whenever you're ready to compete.
Yeah. That being said, it would not surprise me at all if everyone's like, holy crap, I should have drafted RJ Harvey at the end of this year. He's such a weird player. This is the problem, okay? So you have literally no competition in Denver for any touches. They took him super, super high. Peyton loves him, and Sean Payton has been giving us fantasy goodness for years and years and years. But the problem is that he's super old. He's 5'8", 195. He's tiny. He's like a scat back, but so like. But he's handled the whole workload at UCF, but he was also older than everybody else. So like I don't know. I go back and forth on Harvey a lot, but I do think like you could have put Caleb Johnson or Scattaboo or Tootin or Giddens or Harvey or like anyone in this Denver offense and gave them the whole workload, and they're probably gonna be really good for fantasy. Yeah. So with that being said, like I think Harvey will probably smash this year. Unless he gets hurt, which you can say that about anybody. Yeah, I feel like Darren probably should have. Hilariously enough, Darren might have been better off trading out of this pick to get more picks next year or something. I don't know. But it could also be his first like smash player where he can get Darren a lot later. Yeah, we will get into Darren for sure. But yeah, Harvey is such a polarizing dynasty guy for me. But yeah, okay, so that's the first round. And then we got 201. We got Colston Loveland, who I think he was 10th overall, right? In the actual draft?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so he actually went later in our draft than he did in the real draft. He goes 201 to Marv. I have to remind myself, who is Lamar Willis's tight end, by the way? I actually don't know. if he had.
I don't know.
Oh, he has Tucker Kraft, so that makes sense why you might want to take Loveland there. But what are your thoughts on Loveland?
I really like Loveland. Yeah, his 2023 was better than his 2024. Because the Michigan offense just sort of collapsed.
Yeah.
In 2024.
Mm-hmm.
He's really big, and everyone that I've read basically says, no, this guy actually moves like a wide receiver, and he can play in line.
Yeah.
So, like, it's very easy. Like, one of the problems with these tight ends that couldn't block was that as defenses got lighter, it used to be like, okay, like, whenever you put in the Kyle Pitts of the world, because he's a tight end, the defense would match him with a linebacker.
Yeah.
And then you just split him out and then spam Kyle Pitts on a linebacker. And they just don't do that anymore.
Right.
They'll match him up against like a slot corner or a safety.
Yep.
Or some guy who actually knows how to cover. Colston Loveland, you have to match him with a linebacker because he can run block so well. And that just makes receiving so much easier for him than it is for some of these other guys.
Yeah, and he's also just freaking massive. He's 6'6", 245, and can run like crazy. I heard someone on a podcast one time talking about how, like, if you take his 3 years in college, he had like 110 catches, 1,400 yards, and 11 touchdowns. That's basically just Tyler Warren's last season. And so, like, his production was never like crazy or anything. But that being said, on tape he looks insane. He went to Michigan, so there's going to be a lot more competition in Michigan. And he goes to Ben Johnson at 10 overall. So, like, they got to really, really, really love him. Ironic, Loveland, yeah. So, I don't know. I was a lot more in after that whole situation played out in the actual draft than I was, like, pre-draft. I probably would have taken him over Warren as well after the draft pick. He became my tight end one on draft night, basically.
Yeah. I do think, number one, there's, like, he's going to be I think DJ Moore is going to be over him in the passing options. I think.
Yeah, and Adunze.
In the passing options.
Yeah.
We'll talk about him later, but it wouldn't surprise me if, like, Luther Burden's over him.
Yeah, right.
So there's if he's the number 4 option, like, but at the same time, like, you might have to. He's probably not going to bloom for a couple years.
Yeah.
But I do think that he has a very good chance of hitting.
Yeah. It's one thing when you have, like, these second and third round tight ends like Ben Sinnott last year and stuff, where you're, like, waiting for them to finally break through the depth chart and stuff. I'd be surprised more to have these tight ends that are like 10 overall and 14 overall and all that stuff that don't get as much time. But it has happened, so you never know. Like, I remember Greg Olsen was like a super early pick and then didn't hit the field for like years, like actually getting the targets. And then he became a Hall of Famer eventually, but yeah. You never know. So yeah, we got Anderson taking Caleb Johnson. I was trying so hard, like, from 108 to 202 to trade up for Harvey or Caleb Johnson.
Well, Anderson, he actually gave a future first for this pick. So
did he really? I don't know how I missed that. What was the trade? Do you remember?
It was future. It was his, I think, his first next year for this pick, 2-2.
It was just straight up.
Yep.
Oh, I mean, like.
You can go through the because I missed it at the time. It wasn't until I started going through the transactions to get ready for this episode that I saw it. But
yeah, okay. Interesting. Yeah, I mean, if you're gonna go for the crown, then go for the crown, right? But
are you starting to see why you didn't?
Yeah.
Yeah. Why he said no?
Yeah, I am starting to see. I'm starting to see it. Yeah, I really, I don't want I don't want Logan to have anything to smile about, okay? But I really like the Caleb Johnson pick to the Steelers. I think it makes a lot of sense for them. He's going to be he's probably going to be better than Najee was. I don't feel like Najee did that well in the NFL. He got a lot of work, and he had the Ben Roethlisberger old man dump off season. But outside of that, like I don't feel like Najee was that great in the league. And I don't know. I feel like Caleb Johnson's gonna be pretty good, and I feel like Pittsburgh needs him. And yeah, I feel like they literally don't have a quarterback right now, like at all. So he's gonna get a lot of work, I think.
Yeah.
And then we have Dove with the old Jaden Higgins pick. I'll start on this one. I was not a Jaden Higgins guy.
What cracks me up that Houston took both of those.
Yeah. Yeah, they literally took both of them. Yeah. Yeah, and they went really different spots in our draft, which we'll talk about later. But, yeah, Higgins didn't really flash to me, but the Houston landing spot is crazy good because they, outside of Nico right now, like don't have that next guy up. So I feel like Higgins will probably start in 2 wide receiver.
You know what they don't have? They don't have an offensive line. That
too. Yeah. Yeah, they yeah. Didn't they get rid of Tunsil too?
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's actually nuts because they were bad last year with Tunsil. Yeah, they're going to be in a tough one. But yeah, how do you feel about this pick from Dove?
I mean, there's a bag of wide receivers here. I don't know if I would have picked Higgins. But like I think in this general level, he's fine if you believe in him.
Yeah.
I mean, we're starting to get to the like. I feel like the first 14 picks were like objectively correct.
Right.
Like
yeah,
this was just like a huge drop off for me.
Yeah.
For basically everything. I think the pick's fine. I don't personally believe in Higgins super high, but I mean, wasn't he a second round pick?
He went in the second, in the NFL draft.
Yeah, so he went in the second. Like I get it, but it's not a pick that excites me.
Yeah, he didn't break out until senior year, and I don't know, the Iowa State offense is like, I'm just not sure how I feel about how Mickey Mousey that offense was, and that always worries me with college guys. But no, I feel like he's gonna start in 2 wide receiver sets, and he's probably gonna get targets. So him and Noel probably will.
Yeah, I am pretty confident in CJ Stroud.
Yeah, that's true.
It's just there's a lot of ways I can see this going wrong.
Correct. Yeah, that's how I feel too. Scattaboo. Let's talk about Cam Scattaboo, one of the most electric dudes in college football last year.
I don't think I'll ever forget that Arizona State-Texas game.
Oh my gosh.
That was.
Yeah.
That was. That was one of the best college football games I've ever seen.
Yeah. Yeah. Last year he had one of the best college football running back seasons in a while, outside of Gentry, obviously. Like there was plenty of years where he could have been a like legit like Heisman winner or Heisman contender. He got 5th in the Heisman this past year, but he could have. I mean, there's other years in college football where he would have been the dude. He was insane. The only worries I have for him, which I don't know, like, so he's a really good pass catcher, like arguably better pass catcher than he is a running back, which is crazy. I mean, I feel like he's good at both.
Yeah.
And you have Tracy there, who I feel like they're both pretty good at similar things. Scattaboo's got a little more oomph, but I don't know. I feel like Tracy's pretty good, and that kind of scares me for him in the early season here. If Tracy gets hurt, it could be like Scattaboo to the moon.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. How do you feel about that pick?
I think he was definitely the best running back at this point.
Yeah, 100%.
Gotta be someone. I think I said this on draft night, but his measurables weren't very good. but his film looks amazing.
Yeah.
And so it's a question of like, okay, like, does he meet the threshold for this to translate? And if it does, he's going to be amazing.
Yeah.
And if he's just like isn't strong enough, isn't big enough, he's
Yeah.
going to be a 0. So he's someone who has really wide range, like wider than normal range of outcomes for him.
There's a guy who he reminds me of, who I've been trying not to say it out loud too much so I don't get killed. But it's Toby Gerhart. I don't know if you remember Toby Gerhart, but he ended up being a second-round pick for the Vikings.
I heard someone say he's like if Isaiah Pacheco was a scat back.
That's crazy.
But he runs like true. Isaiah Pacheco, but he's he's a scat back.
Yeah. Gerhart, so like the thing with Toby Gerhart was like he was insane in college. He was like a Heisman candidate. He had a ridiculous year, and then he went to the NFL and did like literally nothing basically. And so I have a little bit of worry with Scatterby with that, just because like similar paths, Gerhart couldn't catch, so that's a little bit different. But yeah, I mean there's obvious
a fun player. Like, yeah, I hope he succeeds just because he's just a fun player.
Oh, I know. He would be so like, dude, New York would love him if he actually like succeeds and like smacks people in the mouth and stuff. I can see it going wrong, but also like you're in the twos now where it's like if it goes wrong, like okay, like half of these are definitely going to go wrong. So, you know, it is what it is. And then Dove's last pick here, Luther Burden. I remember when Luther Burden was supposed to be like the obvious third best receiver in this class.
I remember whenever it was a debate between him and Tet for who was the best receiver in this class.
Yeah. I've told this to Derek. I was never a Luther Burden guy. I was always very much on the side of he's in a kind of a Mickey Mouse offense, kind of like Laviska Shenault and like Rondale Moore, where it was like mostly screens and stuff like that. So I was kind of out on Burden. But
just design touch guys generally don't translate well.
No, and
it's one of my concerns about Warren, to be honest.
Yeah, yeah, I could see it. So yeah, and Burden, like we were talking about earlier, the Chicago touches, like either Caleb has to throw for like 6,000 yards and 50 touchdowns, or like you're going to be disappointed by a whole slew of guys from Chicago, like whether it's DJ Moore or Burden or Loveland or Odunze or whoever. Like you're going to be disappointed by somebody there now. So, yeah.
Yeah, Burden at this point, at this point he's fine.
Yeah.
Like at this point, he's a second rounder. He's going to hopefully a good offense, an offense we're optimistic about.
Yeah. If Ben Johnson can't fix it, then I don't know. I don't feel like anybody can.
I know there was some talk that his quarterback at Missouri was just awful.
Yeah, I did hear that.
Explanation.
I did hear that.
But I don't know. Guys who are he was a very highly touted prospect, and those guys get excuses made for them constantly. So I don't know how much of it is that.
Yeah. Right.
If I had to bet, I'd probably bet against him, but it's one of those things that I could be dead wrong. It wouldn't surprise me.
Yep, I could see that.
I do really like this next pick though.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, so next pick, 206, Jalen Milroe. Go
ahead. Jalen Milroe. I don't know, if Jalen Milroe hits, he's like he's going to the first round of start.
Yeah, like he's gonna be Jalen Hurts.
And like sure,
yeah,
and like sure, like there's only a 5% chance of it happening, but
but if
also he's in the mid-second round, like
exactly, yeah.
I don't know, everything that came out of Alabama was basically like after Saban retired, Milroe basically held the team together through force of personality. And apparently absolutely blew the Seahawks away in his pre-draft interviews.
Yeah, I heard that too.
So it's one of the things that he's got the off the field stuff, and he has the physical gifts, and like you gotta do the hardest part, but like if he figures it out, like he's gonna smash.
Mm-hmm.
I'm really high on the potential of Jalen Milroe.
Yeah. Yeah, me too. I was a big Milroe guy, like pre-draft.
And like we know he's like genuinely good as a runner. It's not like, oh yeah, he's athletic. Like he's good as a runner.
Mm-hmm.
Like he knows how to run. Like yeah, like what we were saying about like Cam Ward with how him and Stroud and Love, they all have like basically the same range of outcomes.
Mm-hmm.
And it just depends on like who gets hurt and who doesn't on their teams.
Yeah.
Like Milroe has a higher ceiling.
Oh yeah,
Cam Ward.
Absolutely he does. Yeah, yeah. He's got a way lower floor, but yes, he does have a way higher ceiling too.
And at this point, we're rapidly at the point where you're just throwing darts and.
Yeah, that's the thing is like it feels good to take.
He's the dart where if it hit you. You win the lottery.
Oh yeah, yeah. Like if Milroe actually hits, this is a insane steal. But you're giving those odds that like he's just a really really exciting like scratch off ticket basically is what Milroe is. Now the other thing is Darnold, right? So.
How much do you believe in Sam Darnold?
Yeah, that's the thing is like, do you believe that Darnold was good last year because of Darnold or because of Kevin O'Connell and Justin Jefferson and Addison and stuff? Because that's the hard part for me is like, I could see a world where like that was not that Darnold's trash without them, but like I could see a world where like that was what actually made Darnold great last year.
Yeah, I think that was easier to. I think it was easier to write Darnold off like 2 years ago at this time.
Yeah.
But now we've seen Geno do it. We've seen Baker do it.
Right.
And it's like, okay, like why can't Darnold do it?
Right. Yeah.
But at the same time, like, I think we've talked about this before, but I think we're both very, very high on Kevin O'Connell.
Mm-hmm.
And so like I could see it being Kevin O'Connell.
I know. That's what I'm thinking is like, imagine a world where Darnold sucks for 8 weeks this year. And then messes up his shoulder, is going to be out 2 games, and Milroe comes in and smashes. Like, that'd be sick. It'd be so much fun. It'd be good for good old Jay Neihart, too. So.
I mean, I think it'd be good for the NFL. As someone who enjoys watching football, I think if Jalen Milroe was good, that'd be so fun.
It would. It'd be very fun. I just love watching actual good running quarterbacks. Is so much fun. All right, so next pick, and this is where we get into full on Darren range. We can just fly through a lot of these Darren picks here, but we'll do our best.
You want to do the next 3 just as a group?
Yeah, yeah, we can do these as a group. Yeah, so Trey Harris, Jack Besh, Jalen Royals. So to me, I was actually higher on. Go ahead.
I'm very interested. Considering you're hating on these Mickey Mouse offenses, how you're gonna reconcile your love of Trey Harris?
Yeah, I know. Okay, it's true. It's a Mickey Mouse offense. It is. I have this issue, and I had it before with Jonathan Mingo, so it's totally fair to say it's not true. But when I watch big-bodied, good receivers at Ole Miss, all I can think of is Metcalf and AJ Brown in my head, and it's like a cancer. It's a poison. That's all I see. That being said, I think Trey Harris like looked really really good when he was on the field. Then got hurt, and he's a big boy, and he was really good since like sophomore year. And he was at Louisiana Tech before. So like I see the argument against and for with Trey Harris. The other thing is like with an actually good organization with the Chargers and Harbaugh and stuff. So I trust them a little more to take care of this than I did like the Panthers with Mingo and all that stuff. But yeah, I don't have a lot of strong feelings on Jack Besh or Jalen Royals. they're dart throws. So
I know a lot of film guys, like Beck was like their hidden gem or whatever.
yeah, a lot of people
And
really liked him.
For what it's worth, a lot of the film guys seem to think that Trey Harris, like actually like could do the get off press, run the big boy routes sort of a thing.
Yeah.
It's like the film guys seem pretty optimistic about him, even though he was a Mickey Mouse offense.
Yeah, he was.
And then Royals, I feel like anyone associated with Kansas City is worth a flyer.
Yes, this is literally just whatever Kansas City drafted this year would have been at 209 right here. That's pretty much it.
Just because I don't know, they have Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid.
Yeah.
And like teams are just so like they can run the ball as well as they do just because everyone is so terrified of Patrick Mahomes.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, so we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. Jason goes Shadur next. Does Shadur start games this year? That's the big question.
Yeah.
I could see it.
Yeah.
I still.
I think this is. Oh, maybe I'll save it for later. I guess I'll save it for later.
Okay. I was just gonna say, it's still completely insane to me what happened to Shadur. To have a guy that's completing like 70% of his passes and stuff, dude, like, is wild.
I mean, I get it. If you, there was so much like, okay, we don't know like how he's gonna respond to being a backup. That like I get why you wouldn't draft him to be your backup.
Yeah. I just feel like I watched so many guys that like were obviously worse be first round picks in the past, or even second round picks. Like yeah, it does really feel like there's like some
Jackson
kind
of
Dart. Yeah, like Jackson Dart. There's like, it just feels like there was a lot of like nuclear radiation around him and like his not interviewing with teams and his like his money and chains and NIL deals and all this. Like, I don't know. It feels like no one wanted to take that shot, and I hope he gets a chance with the Browns and stuff. But I mean, it's the Browns, and that's another clown room.
I do.
QBs, so
it does feel like they're probably going to have a true open competition.
Yeah.
So if he really is that good, he's gonna get a shot.
Right. Yeah, he will. Yeah, So Tyler, did you know his name is pronounced Shuck? Did you know that?
I did actually.
Yeah, Tyler Shuck. Yeah. So
Tyler Shuck.
Yeah, Tyler Shucks. He's gonna start this year.
I am pretty surprised that he fell as far as he did, because even during the draft, we knew that Carr was probably had a good chance of missing the whole season, and that there was a good chance that Shuck was going to be the presumed starter.
Yeah. Yeah, he is so old too. He's like 26.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's 20. He's
wasn't he in college for like 7 years or 8 years or something?
Yeah, he has literally he was in college longer than our league has existed. He has 2018 stats at Oregon. So, yeah. Completely insane. So yeah, Tyler Shuck, he's probably going to start some games. I personally don't think he's going to be any good, but that's just my opinion. He's super old.
I did hear that it's going to be good for Kamara, because the same way that old man Roethlisberger would always dump it off to Najee.
Yeah.
Old man Shuck's always going to dump it off.
That's true. He does have an old noodle arm like Ben. We can fly through the rest of these here. We got DJ Giddens to Darren. I like DJ Giddens, the player.
He's a backup, but he's also in an offense that wants to run the ball 60% of the time. And so if he does become the starter, he's going to get so many touches that he's going to be great.
Yep. I like Tootin as well. Jacksonville's a giant mess with Bigsby and ETN and Tootin and whatever. So One of them will probably be good on any given week. I don't know if ETN is any good anymore. I think his legs might be cooked, but I did like Tootin a lot. Like if he would have went to a better situation, like if he would have went to Denver, people would have been all about it. So, yeah. You got
Mason Taylor.
Mason Taylor.
I don't know. I have no strong feelings about Mason Taylor.
No.
I
like that he's related to Jason
about
Taylor.
The Jets. Not super optimistic about the Jets. Maybe he'll be good. I don't know.
Yeah,
But,
I know some people are really high on him. I'm not one of those people. He did go to LSU, and he is related to a Hall of Famer, but that's kind of it.
I mean, we're also at the point where, like...
But yeah, you're just
they're
taking
all,
dart
like-
shots. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pat Bryant, that guy went really early in the draft for some reason.
Yeah.
It's another
Because he went early.
Sean Paytonism, but yeah, he was like off of like pretty much everybody's board until that happened. So, he's a big boy though. He's 6'3". Is that Mikel Williams? Yeah, that's the guy from Georgia, right? Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's Dove taking a Niner.
that is Dove getting his Niner. Yes. This one's interesting. I actually, have you ever watched Jaden Blue highlights?
I did.
Yeah.
I did. I remember.
So he's a Texas dude. He had a bunch of catches in college. So he might not be the best like in between the tackles runner. He's actually bigger than RJ Harvey, if you can believe that. So if he actually gets carries this year, I'm interested myself. He's gonna be like a deep redraft target.
There's certain like I don't know, like Dallas as an organization has made it very clear that they just don't care about the running back position at all.
Yeah.
And they're perfectly happy. Like some of these organizations, like they want they want good running backs, and so like the Seahawks will spend second round picks on Kenneth Walker and what's his nose? I forget. Why am I blanking on his name?
Oh, Charbonnet.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, on Charbonnet. Like they want to have good running backs on their roster. And there's other organizations like Dallas and Cincinnati and Kansas City who are like, yeah, just scrape the bottom of the barrel, third round guys, random free agents, and like they make it work.
Yeah, they're gonna try. Yeah,
and like you can have great offense in both ways. Like I'm not judging, but Dallas, like I feel like all this is to say that I can see Dallas taking a guy in the what round was it?
Like
what round did he go?
Sixth,
like
round?
Fourth or fifth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see Dallas taking a fifth round guy and being like, yeah, actually this guy is part of our long term plans.
Yeah, he is a Texas guy.
In a way that a lot of other organizations wouldn't.
Yeah. And then we got Woody Marks, which his real name is Joquavius Marks. I don't know if you knew that.
I did not.
And
Taco Dowdle.
Yeah, he had a bunch of catches in college. He had like 261 receptions in college, if you can believe that. So crap ton. He's a little interesting if Joe Mixon gets hurt, but he'll probably just be like a little bit of a scat back situation. Terrence Ferguson, he went really early. He was like a second round pick. So this is part of the draft where Darren's trying to snag one of these tight ends that hopefully ends up being good. And
I mean,
he could.
I don't know if I'd do that. I don't know if I'd do that with how this league views tight ends, but
yeah,
maybe one of them will hit.
Yeah, you
never know.
You truly never know. And then I took.
I really like this pick.
I took Dylan Sampson. I really liked Dylan Sampson in the pre-draft. He got screwed by the actual draft by going to the same place as Judkins. But if you look at Dylan Sampson tape and stats and all that stuff, he was a stud. So I think like that's literally just me betting that either Judkins will get hurt or Sampson will have some kind of role. And it's the 3-8. So you take shots like that, and if they don't hit, then they don't hit. But yeah, I found him to be pretty interesting in in the pre-draft and everything. I was hoping that he'd be a guy that goes to like a good situation, but he did not. So,
the thing with these rookies is that like Dylan Sims, like Tennessee's offense, like the way Tennessee's offense works is like it's designed to spread out the defense.
Yeah.
So much, and so like whenever like Tennessee's running plays are like there's no linebackers there, and they hand him the ball, and if he gets through the first level, he's in the clear. If he doesn't, it's just it's not a normal, it's not an NFL running offense.
You're correct. Yeah. Yeah, it's not something you'd see in the NFL. Yeah.
What I'm getting at with this is that there's like a 20% chance that these guys both get on the field, like that they both go to training camp, and the coaches just decide that Sampson is better than Judkins.
Right.
And I think that's worth it.
Yeah, I mean, why not? Take a shot.
And like you said, like I don't know, like getting a backup running back for a 3rd-round pick, you know, like the thing with these backup running backs is like you know when they're gonna get touches, and it's when the starters hurt. And it's like you know ahead of time, like okay, I should be putting Sampson in my lineup this week,
right?
In a way that just isn't true for like a 3rd-string wide receiver or like a number 3 wide receiver.
Yeah. No, that's facts. Yeah. I think if Judkins blows out his knee or something, it's gonna be Sampson to the freaking moon. So, I'm here for it.
I mean, I don't know if I believe in Cleveland that much, but
that's true. It's Sampson to I think starting roster.
I think for a late third, it's a great bet.
Yeah, why not? Take the shot, you know? Kyle Williams was a little interesting just because he got drafted pretty highly to the Patriots, and the Patriots have nobody outside of like Stephon Diggs. So that could work out. I know some people really liked him in the pre-draft because he's fast.
Slander.
I know, yeah. Booty's always getting slandered. Harold Fannin, I don't know if you ever looked up his stats, dude. They're crazy.
Oh yeah.
It's Bowling Green, but his stats were nuts. So you never know.
He's a lot like what we saw with Scatterboo, where it's like, okay, like, is this gonna translate?
Yeah.
If it doesn't translate, he's a 0, and if it does translate, he's awesome.
Yeah, he had.
So I don't know if I'd.
Basically, like.
I don't know if I'd make that bet, but.
I think I saw
who knows.
I think I saw like his combine and his measurables were like really, really bad. But his production was like insane. So he might just be a way better football player than his body allows him to be, and that happens to some guys. Jalen Noel, you never know, another Iowa Stater, 3rd-round pick. So he got drafted pretty high. Houston loves those guys.
I mean, it's the same thing with Dayton Higgins, basically. You know, like DJ Stroud.
Yachty.
Maybe the coaches will decide he's better than Higgins. You never know.
And then you got Will Howard to round out the draft. Just one more meme, one more Steelers player to knock it out.
I mean, it's a 3-12, so it's hard to complain. But
no, yeah.
I am a Will Howard hater.
Yeah, I mean just
on principle.
College, yeah. Yeah, fair enough.
And then he went to Pittsburgh, and that's made it worse.
Yeah, I mean that's literally like just two most hateable places, Ohio State and Pittsburgh. So let's go through our biggest reaches. I think I had, and by the way, I'll say it again, but I don't think any of these reaches were like egregious. They just were probably a little higher than I would have taken these guys. But like this year, there was basically none of these where I was like, that was such a bad pick or whatever. But the first one, I think
I said that earlier, but like the first like 14 to 16 picks were like basically exactly as I would have done.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, I think the only one that really came to mind, like first and foremost, was just Golden, just because I would have probably taken Ibuka. I probably would have taken RJ Harvey or Caleb Johnson, or you could even argue me into one of the tight ends. I normally don't take tight ends that high, but I think to me, like, yeah, Ibuka is a clear step over Golden in my head. So that was the first one that came to my mind. But yeah, I don't think any of them were like crazy.
I do think that if you want to go, like he probably could have traded back and still gotten Golden.
Maybe,
But at the
yeah.
same time, there's something to be said for just if you believe in a guy, take him.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if we're looking up at the end of this year and we're like, oh crap, Golden had 1,000 yards and he was really good and they figured it out and whatever. It wouldn't surprise me at all. So, yeah. Who was your biggest reach meal?
I had a Jalen Royals just because I don't know. I mean, I've seen enough Kansas City wide receiver busts over the years.
Yeah.
That I just think that like a quarterback like Sanders or Buck
Yeah,
would have been a better use of, and like one of these running backs like a Gibbons or a Tootin.
yeah. People are still living in the world
where
Kansas City is missing a receiver, but like they actually have like 4 good targets now. Like you have Rashee Rice, you have Worthy, you have Hollywood, you have Travis Kelce, which I know Kelsey's old, and I know Hollywood. Who knows?
DeAndre Hopkins.
No, I think Hopkins went somewhere else or is unsigned right now. But I mean, like, yeah,
Noah Gray.
I'd be surprised if Royals turned into anything. But also, you're taking him at the 209, so like it's a shot, and if he's really good, he's really good.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. It's hard for me to actually complain about it. It's just that's a guy who probably I would have let slide into the third.
Yeah, I mean, you could have argued for other dart throws there, like Kyle Williams or Noel or Pat Bryant or whoever. But Darren took all those guys anyway, so.
That's fair. That's fair.
Any other standout reaches in your head? Because I really don't feel like we had a lot this year.
Yeah. If Will Howard got to the end of the draft, I don't think I wouldn't have put a single dollar fab on him.
Yeah, I don't think I would have either. I think, you could argue that spending a pick on Will Howard was pretty funny. Dylan Gabriel didn't get drafted, and he was like a 3rd-round pick. So, yeah, that was funny. Not that I think Dylan Gabriel is going to be the dude or anything, but
Dylan Gabriel getting drafted in the 3rd round was funny.
That was insane. You could have told me Dylan Gabriel went undrafted, and I would have believed that over 3rd-round pick. But that's just. But I picked him up just you never know. Sometimes your intuition is super off, and it is what it is.
I mean, he is in an open quarterback room, like we said with Shador. It's gonna be an open competition, and maybe it will be Dylan Gabriel.
Yeah, that'd be funny. Dylan Gabriel's so small too. I don't know if you saw like pictures of him next to Shador and like Flacco and stuff. It's actually insane because Flacco's like 6'6". All right, biggest fallers in the draft. The first one that came to my mind was Caleb Johnson at 202. I wouldn't have been surprised if in our league Caleb Johnson went at like 108, 109, 110, just because it's a running back who's like pretty obviously going to get a lot of carries this year. And that's really hard to find in the league in general. So I expected him to not go behind the tight ends or Jackson Dart or whoever. Not that I like, he's definitely he's still in that tier where he belongs, but I just felt like 202 was later than I expected. Him and Harvey, I thought were going to go earlier than that, but yeah, that was the first one that came to my mind.
Yeah, I think in I would have taken Loveland earlier. I didn't write that down.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
I really like Dylan Sampson. I thought end of the 3rd round was pretty wild. I probably would have started considering him end of the 2nd.
Yeah.
So getting him all that time later is pretty crazy to me. Who else?
I'll give one more too. We already talked about him, but I really like Trey Harris. There's like basically no competition after Lab McConkey. He goes to a good organization. He's huge.
And they play different positions.
Yeah.
Like they're not actually competing with each other.
Right.
And are we gonna pretend like Justin Herbert can't support 2 wide receivers?
Yeah. And I do think that they're gonna probably throw the ball a little bit more this year. And they have Hampton now.
They threw the ball last year a lot more than people realized.
Yeah. It didn't feel like it, but yeah, it's true.
Like they're their pass rate over expectation was surprisingly high,
Yeah.
considering what people were thinking about them going into the season. So
Yeah. No, I think Trey Harris makes a good offense even better this year. So I think he'll be good. And I was surprised to see him go because he went really high in the draft too, didn't he? Like he was second rounder. Yeah. Yeah, he was 55th overall and he went behind Burden and Higgins and stuff. So yeah, I was expecting him, like I probably would have taken him at 203 instead of Jaden Higgins, but that's just my taste.
I guess I'm sort of obligated to say, in my other league, I took Bashal Tootin at 209, so him going at 301 here would be a fall.
Right. All right, owner that had the best draft. I would say, to me, it was Anderson. Anderson ended up with he got Ted McMillan, he got Travion Henderson, and he got Caleb Johnson, which like that to me is like you're getting a potential starting receiver and 2 starting running backs in one class. So that's, to me, I think he had probably the best draft.
Yeah, I think Kansas had a great draft just because he got Cam Ward, which, like we said, like if he hits, is gonna be great. He got Ibuka, who we both love, and then like he got, like I feel like trading an early second for a future first that's just good business. Like,
That is good business, yeah. Yeah, like, I could go on either side
like
of that.
Like that could be like we could be coming here next year and like because there's gonna be a couple good quarterbacks in next year's class, and so like
supposed to be.
There's a chance where like he gets like a top wide receiver from that pick.
Mm-hmm.
Who like out of the gate more valuable than Caleb Johnson. The thing is, it's a 0 this year, but like if you can eat that 0, like and you come on out on the other side of it, like it's just good process.
It's good business. And then what were you gonna say about Omlinator too?
He just fixed his running back room.
He finessed it
with one pick. He basically turned James Conner and the 106 into James Cook and Josh Jacobs, which
that's wild. Like just hearing that loud.
Like sure, like he lost out on the chance for like a Travion or a Quinton Judkins, but I don't know. Josh Jacobs is pretty good at football. I don't know if you knew that.
And James Cook, dude, Josh Jacobs will never get the love he deserves. I will always be his stan, and it is what it is. Dear Josh, I wrote you and you still ain't calling.
And then James Cook, he's good for fantasy. He's in an offense that lives in the red zone.
Yeah.
And he's just generally, I don't know. He's in a good situation and he's good enough to take advantage of it.
Right. So good offseason Omlinator.
I thought that was good work.
All right, and we have a couple more sections here. We were gonna talk about this section is called "What is Darren Doing," and it's it's kind of just its own thing. I know we don't typically talk about comments and stuff, but I would love to see comments under this podcast specifically, if you're still listening, onto just if you thought the Darren plan for this year worked with all the picks that he got and all these players he got, and why or why not. Because I can see the argument either way. Like, one, you're just building a giant pipeline of young guys, and so you got to start somewhere. So take shots on guys, and maybe if Trey Harris and RJ Harvey and Terrence Ferguson all hit or something, then like you called it a good offseason. You got some pieces, you know. What's your opinion, Mio, of the Darren stuff right now? Because he's obviously doing his own thing in our league that is very crazy.
Yeah, I get it. Like if 3 of these guys hit, like it's probably worth it. Also, I don't know, man. It seems like you're just giving up a lot to make it happen.
Yeah. To me, my brain instantly went to, on draft day, I'm going to trade all of these 2s and 3s for actual pieces, like young guys or guys that I believe in. Who knows, you know?
We meme on that, but like that's basically he basically made that trade with Jay Neihard, if I can find it.
Yeah, he did do a version of that. That's true.
Like I think that's how he got RJ. That's how he got RJ Harvey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But yeah, shout out to Darren.
If you can do it, he pulls it off. Great. I'm pretty skeptical.
Yeah, I would love to sit here next year and be like, I was so wrong. 6 of these guys hit.
But like, if Trey Harris and Bashal Tutin and like, I don't know, like Harvey hit, and he has 3 guys that he can like work with.
Yeah.
So
get somewhere. That's it. You know, get somewhere.
Maybe.
Thoughts on?
And then hopefully he can trade them for actual good players.
Yeah, hopefully. Thoughts on improving the draft or draft party next year? We were talking about this before we hopped on, but my dream is if we can just get either our foreigners, our people who live in other states, to fly up or figure out some way to maybe like zoom them in or something.
People who live in other states foreigners?
Yeah, our foreigners. Yeah, our refugees, our people I'm going to call ICE on. We need them to eventually fly up or be part of the draft in some fashion, maybe even Zoom or something. I don't know. But yes, our foreign refugees, we need to get to the draft at some point. I think I would love to do it live someday, like actually like put the player on the board type of deal and not do it online. Yeah. That'd be so fun. I think we can get there someday, but I don't know. What do you think?
That's what you need to do. Is you need to bring like 4 monitors and like hook them up, like so we have the big table.
Yeah.
And like 8 of us are there, and the other 4 are on their monitors.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think. I thought it was great.
Yeah, overall I thought it was really good. I think the draft party keeps getting better and better and better, and I really liked doing it at Appalachian. I thought the food was great and the war room was great, and yeah, I'm trying to think of how to turn it up even more next year, but
Waitress was great.
Yeah, Waitress. Yeah, I felt bad for her because every time she walked in, someone was like a penis joke or something, and yeah, it was. but it all turned out good in the end.
My understanding of the Waitress life is that's probably just a random Sunday for her.
Yeah, that's probably an average Sunday for her. Yeah, but no, overall great off season, guys. I'm looking forward to more memes in the chat, and we're just gonna keep having fun in the league. And here's to year 7, LaMarvelous. You need to eventually fly up to the draft. You got to figure it out, dude. I mean, like, just don't go. Just save money like once a week on DoorDash or something. Just don't order DoorDash like once a week. You can add all that up. You can get a plane ticket. You can come up to PA, and yeah, we need to have you at the draft because we're all screaming and having fun and stuff, and you haven't been able to be part of one yet. So, yeah, you need to come to a actual draft party.
Just lie and tell your wife that you're visiting your family.
That's true. Yeah.
Or maybe even visit your family and just happen to show up.
Well, I was gonna say, like, he's not lying. Like, we're more his family than his actual family is at this point. So he needs to just fly up and do it. So anyway, yeah, that's it for the pod, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Yeah, this was a fun draft season. So yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, guys.
All right. See ya.